go. Here we go. Here we go.
Emmanuel, that was so good. Go again.
3, 2, 1. Time.
Welcome back. You are listening to the Movement for Life podcast,
Where we talk about ways to stay moving throughout our life.
we're getting this done,
All right.
folks. My name is JR Jakeway.
And I'm Kolby Christophic. And we're glad to have you.
Yeah, we are, I believe, at week 5 of our podcast.
That is right. We are week 5. And massive shift. Kolby got a haircut.
This week's podcast is brought by Colby's new haircut. How does it feel?
Light. It feels very light. That's for sure.
What made you decide to do that haircut? It was going from a long kind of baby Thor look to more of a boy next door.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know why everybody's saying boy next door look. I don't know if that was the vibe I was going for.
Girl next door, I don't know. Like
it was good. I just wanted to see what long hair was like. It was great. I wanted to change it up. So I decided to cut my hair really short.
But this is back to where it originally was before the hair growth.
Yeah, for the most part. Yeah, I had short hair on the sides, a little bit longer on top. And it's been like that for the last several years because of lifeguarding. So
Nice. Well,
back to that short haircut.
We're
short feels nice.
So all right.
Let's dive in a little bit. Tell me what you were doing last week. Give me some movement.
I did not do anything out of the ordinary. So my time in the gym, 5-6 days in the gym last week, a mixture of CrossFit, a little bit of like injury prevention, still preparing my body for some running that's going to amp up in the new year for the LA Marathon. So I'm just trying to get like 7 to 9 miles a week right now.
Okay.
And variations, intervals to longer, slower to faster, shorter distance, just kind of mixing it up and just having fun in the gym and just really enjoying my time in the gym. You know, usually spend about 90 minutes in my gym sessions. So it's been really nice. Yeah.
Great.
And what about you?
I changed it up a little bit this week. I surfed a couple of times last week before the rains, which was great. It's raining now. It was a fun couple of days of surf, played some pickleball, did some CrossFit training. I also PR'd several
You did
lifts
on Monday. Yeah.
Several lifts. So lifetime PRs. I've been in this more than 10 years now. I've been coming up on like 12 years and making lifetime PRs in a squat clean and an overhead squat and in a bench press, which is awesome. Not necessarily something that I would think that 10, 12 years in, I'd still be making, forward progress and things like that, which is really cool. And then I've been actually practicing something that maybe it's movement, maybe it's not, but my back mobility is really bad. And so I've been working on doing a lot of thoracic extension. And every day, about 10, 15 minutes, not a ton of time. I've been doing like 3 or 4 drills for myself to try to get myself closer to a back bend, but then also just as far as like thoracic extension and some rotation, just improving that. So that's some other movement that I've been adding to what I normally do. And it's been great. It's been really good.
That's absolute movement. Yeah, that's great. And especially what we do day to day, that injury prevention, especially when it relates to the back, super important.
Yeah, I did have a back injury earlier this year. And, post that, I think all of my muscles surrounding my back have been tighter. So spending some extra time working on lengthening and strengthening that is probably a good idea.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Cool.
All right.
We got a fun topic this week, right?
We do. I thought it would be really nice to talk about barriers to entering into fitness or getting yourself in shape. I think as fitness professionals, we tend to hear the same excuses from a lot of folks when they're trying to start their fitness journey, or maybe why they can't continue and be consistent. So today we want to talk about those barriers and
Yeah.
kind of give some tips on how we can be successful by approaching those barriers. And we're going to give you guys several different options when it comes to each category that we list on ways that you can overcome those barriers.
Yeah. And when we were kind of preparing for this and putting stuff together, we could talk for 2, 3, 4 hours on some of this stuff, and there's a ton of this, some things that we're even missing. Like there's a ton of stuff in here that we're not even going to get to talk about or touch on that is definitely relevant on reasons why somebody might stop, or reasons why somebody might feel like, hey, I can't do this or start doing these. So we're only getting to touch on a couple in the half an hour that we get together. So this is not exhaustive.
We feel like these are the most important and the ones that we most frequently hear. So we wanted to make sure we approach those.
Yeah. Cool. Oh, well, that first one, I'll let you kind of take the reins, is, you know what? I can't get started in something like fitness because money's tight. I'm on a budget. I don't have any money to spend on a gym membership. I don't have any money to spend on food. I don't have any money to spend on any of this stuff. So what do I do? What do I do?
Yeah, I think that when we're looking at the price of a gym membership, it sometimes can seem overwhelming or more than we want to pay. But more often than not, there's some other place in our life where we could, cut back a little bit in order to afford some type of membership if we're really wanting to get into a physical gym. And so, looking at options, at least right now, it's, the holidays and the New Year's coming up. So there's a lot of gyms that are having specials. So, we first want to say that the overall point of this podcast is not just to get people to come to our specific CrossFit gym or any CrossFit. The goal of this podcast is to try to help people get into some kind of movement and fitness so they can be healthier. So we're going to provide options, especially in this category of things that aren't necessarily CrossFit. And we're doing that just as a way to help people find something that could work for them. So with that said, around this time of year, you can look at a gym membership like a Crunch Fitness. They're doing dollar initiation fees, $10 a month membership. For the price of their gym membership, you could just cut off Starbucks one time a week. There are, don't go out to eat one time for yourself. I think most of us could easily find several things that they do in a day that could cover a $10 membership.
That's kind of a crazy thought, but I think that is an interesting thing to think about. You just said you could not go out for yourself once in the month, and like, well, yeah, but I gotta eat. But the reality is like, I could skip a single meal, and that single meal that I skipped could pay for a gym membership. That's kind of a crazy thought. Like,
yeah,
you're
just
talking about
one
Crunch.
meal that entire month, just one time, would pay for a gym membership.
Yeah, you're gonna survive, I hope, from missing one meal, and that'll pay for, at a Crunch Fitness, an entire month's worth of your membership. That's kind of a crazy thought. I didn't think about that.
Now, we're not advocating people skipping meals, but we're just saying as an example that we can find ways. There's things that we like to do in our life that if we wrote down everything that we're spending on, we could find $10. Like most of us, that's a pretty easy thing. We could find several things that we do in a single day that would pay for an entire month of a membership.
Okay.
What
if I don't even want to spend any money? Like, what if I'm like, you know what? I don't have a job. I don't live at home. I live at home. I don't make any money. No one's giving me money. I can't get into fitness.
You don't need a gym membership. You absolutely have options. There are a lot of body weight exercise workouts that you can do at home with no equipment whatsoever. You can find objects in your home that you could use as weight. If you're particularly, let's take a parent, for example, you're a multi-person family, having a gym membership is something that you just feel like you absolutely can't do. You can do body weight movements, even holding your kids. That could turn into something that could be a activity that is quality time with your family. You're teaching your children to move, but you doing squats with them on your back, or you holding them, creating weighted movements with family members, finding objects in your house that you could squat with, you can lift up, functional movements, things that we do in CrossFit. It doesn't have to be an actual barbell or an actual dumbbell. You could take the opportunity to find a sale and maybe get a couple dumbbells. Even going to like Salvation Army, Craigslist, there's places where you can get cheaper stuff that doesn't have to be new, because dumbbells can be expensive, but it's a one-time cost that could last a long time. And there's a lot of things you can do at home. You can go on walks with your families, your dogs, take them for extended walk. It's good for them. It's good for you. Make it an opportunity to spend time with your family. Hey, everybody, kids are going to get on their bikes. Me and my spouse, my partner, we're going to go for a walk, go for 3 miles while the kids skateboard or ride their bike. There's so many more things that we can do to be active that don't cost money. Go for a hike, walk on the beach. I think that using the example of I have to go to a gym in order to get fit is something that has been proven. You don't have to do that. It's nice to be able to have a gym membership and have all those weights and the pieces of equipment, but it's not necessary. We know people who've lost weight 100 pounds at home just doing walking, body weight type movements with a good diet. They've been really successful.
Looking for some of the data on the walking benefits of walking. It's like far outweighs doing nothing, and walking is such an underrated exercise start piece. I think that everybody that's like, oh, I have to do some sort of functional movement, or I have to do some sort of gym membership, or I have to lift some sort of weights. And if you're not doing anything, like walking is a completely underrated start of exercise, and it's completely free.
It's not glamorous. Like walking's not showy and glamorous, but it's very efficient, and it's low impact. So your joints aren't going to hurt like running. And it's underrated.
Totally.
Undervalued.
Perfect. And it's free. So that is definitely something. If I come across that, I'll probably blurt it out at some point in the next couple of minutes if I find it. So we've talked about some free options. We talked about some like cheap options. Okay. If I was trying to figure out something that was going to be like the best value for my money, well, maybe first I'll ask you, like, what do you think could be a few of the like most expensive options that you're like, hey, this is great for my health and fitness, that almost like guarantees results, but it costs so much money, very few people get to do it. And then what's like a middle option of like, hey, this provides a ton of value and the cost ratio is way lower than something that's in that really, really, really high expense ratio.
Sure.
Does that make sense?
I mean, a high value for this category is going to be something like a really expensive gym membership or being with a personal trainer. Being at a really nice gym, high valued, versus being at a gym that is not as expensive, maybe $30 or less.
What is included in like a high value gym membership? You're talking about like an Equinox or something like that, right?
Yeah, I mean, if you're going to a really high end gym, it still doesn't come with personal training. It can come with classes. So if they have like HIIT classes or Pilates or yoga, that's going to be included, but still personal training, even at those gyms, are going to be an additional fee. So you could be paying $200 to $250 a month for that membership, but there's no one-on-one that's included. That's still classes. And you compare that to a CrossFit, that could be, somewhere around there, depending on where you live, to, 150 or so. Like the range in a CrossFit membership is definitely going to depend on where you're living, because real estate and the value of what they're paying their coaches is what's going to hike up that cost. But in that situation, you have more attention placed on every single member. So it's more like being in a kind of a group private training type situation where you're not just going to a class, you have somebody who's going to come up and work on corrections with you, and they're looking at it as every single person needs to get specific attention.
Yeah, and I think of a group class at a gym. The instructor doesn't know me, and they don't know if I showed up or didn't show up.
Right.
Whereas something like a CrossFit gym, maybe, the reason why we akin it a little bit closer to something like a personal training is like the coach knows who you are. The coach knows if you show up or don't show up, and the coaches check in and be like, "Hey, you weren't here. Like, what's going on?" Versus in a fitness class, like maybe that is never happening because the instructor just shows up, they teach their class, and they go home. There was 35 people in the class. Maybe they knew 5 of those 30 people. They're not asking you, hey, what did you eat last week? How was the family doing? Things like that, where you would get that in a one-on-one setting, but you're still getting a version of that in like a small group training class or a small group session, like a CrossFit.
I will say that I've now coached both. So I've been coaching CrossFit for 11, 12 years now, but I've also coached group classes, HIIT classes in places like Barry's. And there is a difference in, like, you're supposed to go in, you don't really have time to connect with all the members. You may have people who are, if it's one of the facilities that allows you to have the same class every week, maybe I have a Tuesday class every Tuesday at 10 a.m. Some of those people are going to continue to come back to me because it fits for their time and they like me. But there's not a lot of time included in that for me to get to know everybody. So it goes above and beyond what someone's paid for at that specific facility. So, hopefully if you have a really good coach, they are getting to know you, and there are people that I would get to know. But in a CrossFit, it's kind of built in. Like, we bring everyone together. We talk about how is everybody doing. Everybody knows each other's names because you have those regular people who are coming to very specific classes. And in a group training, like a 24 or a Barry's, there's people coming and going all the time, and you may never see those people again. And I would compare it to in a CrossFit class when I say, hey, can you name all the people or most of the people's first names in this class? In a CrossFit class, they know. Unless you're new, everybody's name. If I did the same thing at a Barry's or a 24 or something, they would not know the names. That's not part of the culture that's really included in that, unless you have a very specific coach who makes that part of it. So there's a difference in that, and the value in that, that community is there to support you. It's very different.
That's a good, really cool distinction. I like that a lot. Cool. Let's shift gears a little bit. So we talked about some free, we talked about some cheap, we talked about some expensive stuff. Next thing that we hear a lot is just, I don't know what to do. I would do something, but I just don't know what to do.
Right. You get to the gym, but then when I go to the gym, what am I going to do?
Yeah.
Cool. So we talked about a couple things. We have, we're going to kind of stick with the same categories that we did in the previous one, where we're talking about like
some free options.
Things that are free options, and then things that are a little bit more expensive. So Kolby, why don't you talk about like a free option that we could do?
Yeah, so free options for programming. I don't know what to do. There is so much information that is available online. The World Wide Web has made so much information available, and so some resources that you can go to basically get free programming or like templates. You could go to somewhere like bodybuilding.com. We'll have tons of different templates for you. I think that you can even subscribe to their training programs, and then after your month of free trial, it's something like $7.99 or $8 a month. You can also go to CrossFit.com. CrossFit.com puts all of their programming for free online. There's YouTube has a plethora of information, and one of the beautiful things about YouTube is 90% of it is all free. So you can find creators, I'll say quote unquote creators, because this could be somebody that's professional in their field, and you can follow their channel, and they could be putting out content on a daily, weekly, monthly basis, or have a back stock of a library of workouts that they could take you through that you can literally watch on a video and follow right away. There's tons of different opportunities. Some of that may even be like lifting weights, but some of that may be just like a stretching routine or a yoga routine or a body weight workout routine or a calisthenics routine, like all that you can watch and follow on your own. And nowadays,
Which
like I
that
know,
would be good for someone who's at home too, working out, like following it just in real time.
Absolutely. I know a lot of people who like stream their computer to their TV, and they're in their living room and they work out in the living room.
Yep.
That's an amazing free option for programming. I don't know what to do. Okay. Go to a couple of easy websites, bodybuilding.com, CrossFit.com, YouTube.com. Find a creator, find bodyweight workouts, do some research, spend 15, 20 minutes finding something that you like. As long as you can find 12, minimum of 12, because that's going to last you more or less a month, up to like 48 or 60, 4 or 5 months worth of workouts, you're set. That's easy, free.
Yep.
What do I do? What about something that's like low cost as far as program?
Lower cost, if we're looking at like something that's $30 or under, there's also trainers programs that are like an app based where you could pay like a small fee and they tell you exactly what to do every day. The thing about those, why those could be more beneficial, is because they can also give you modification versions of these movements that they're asking you to do, and you have more options, which in return it's going to yield more safety measures for you. If you're following just somebody doing something that's not a personal trainer and not offering those on a video, and you're just trying to do exactly what they're doing, that could be dangerous. Maybe they're not your level, or maybe you don't understand how to modify. So, digging into some app-based programming that even allows you to ask questions for clarity or modifications, though that's going to be a little bit more beneficial. It's going to cost you a little bit more. It could be anywhere from like $10 to $50 based on what I've used, and I've used several in my life. So that's a really great option, but it's going to keep you on track. And the even more beneficial thing about it is usually it's on a like 8 to 12 week track. So they're progressing in what they're doing over those weeks versus randomly telling you to do something. And that's really the difference in having somebody specifically programming, which is why something like CrossFit or personal trainer is going to be potentially more beneficial, because you have someone guiding you from the beginning steps into a more advanced version, and you're tracking that, and you should see like an incline going up on the points of when we're progressing, and then giving you a little taper for a recovery week and then going back up, versus just following somebody online doing whatever.
Yeah. And I think maybe some of those, I know a Nike maybe has a free and a paid version of that. They'll take you through workouts that are going to go through a progression. Like you said, like when you're paying somebody on an app, they're likely going to go through progressions. The great thing about that is, hey, you're getting a progressive overload. The hard part about that is you're not getting any feedback from that person, right? You're just paying them for the program. You're doing the program with the linear progression or a like cyclical progression, but it's better than just doing random workouts without a progression.
Sure.
That third like high value option is some sort of like individual programming or programming that has feedback involved, right? Like, hey, I do something, then I get feedback. Hey, I do something and then I get feedback. So some options for that are like CrossFit gyms, are like personal training programs or individual design programs where maybe you're getting programming from a coach saying, hey, you should do this, 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 and this. And then you enter your results and your coach gives you feedback on that.
Sure.
Right? That is the highest value that we can give as far as like, hey, I don't know what to do. Okay, if I can give instruction, see what's happening, and then give feedback, that's the epitome of like what we want to do as far as of like how do we improve that. So I think that direction kind of peaks. It's the most expensive, right? But if I can
Sure.
get feedback on the things that I'm doing, I'm going to learn at such a quick rate that it's going to make things feel a lot easier.
Well, I mean, just to compare even like your middle value and high value, even the apps that allow for like maybe you're allowed to create a video and then send it to your coach, and then your online coach or whatever is able to look at it. That's there's still a turnaround time. So you're not getting instant feedback. So,
Yeah.
you're still not getting as much out of an in-person session where somebody can right there say, no, this is what we need to do, explain it to you, whether it's tactile or verbal, or give you a visual and give you a demonstration. You're going to get more out of being in that situation. But, you're right. It can cost more.
Yeah. Cool. Absolutely.
All right. The next one that we're going to talk about, you want to read that one out?
Sure. Time. I don't have time. I'm busy. I've got kids. I've got so much stuff going on. I got a hard job. My husband takes up a lot of my time. My wife takes up a lot of my time. My weekends are packed with things. Like, I don't have time. How do we what are some options for people who
We
don't
hear
have
this one
time?
a lot. I'm too busy. I'm too busy to come to the gym. We go through times in our year where maybe work gets a little crazy, especially if you're on like a kind of like a quarterly system where you're trying to get like all your quarterly goals met. But in the grand scheme of things, if you're using time as an excuse to not start or to be consistent, then we need to talk about how we can give and take a little bit. So one of the things that we can do right off the bat, maybe you're working Monday through Friday and you're just not in a headspace, a mental space where you can get up early or you can go to work out after you get off work. Use the weekends to start moving. We can do like a 30-minute walk on the weekends. Again, we talked about how we can include the family in this. This could be a family thing. Looking at the example that you're setting for the rest of your family by saying, we're going to take 30 minutes to do something active by going on a walk, going on a hike together, going to the beach and renting bikes. There's things that we can do that can be considered quality family time and also to get you in shape. It's minimum time required, and chances are you're going to run over that 30-minute time period that you've allotted yourself because you're having so much fun with your family. And in return, you're teaching your kids, the rest of your family, like moving can be fun. This is something that we love to do, and you're creating these great memories at the same time. Then we're talking about being a little bit more diving in and making a commitment. Those early morning times before 7 a.m. That's so hard for so many people. Oh, I can't do this. I just can't make myself get up. Well, there's so many benefits to getting up early and getting a workout in, and what it does for you for the rest of your day, setting you up for success. I feel like if you can commit to getting up 2 weeks for a 2-week period, a couple of times a week, it becomes second nature. It becomes easier. And with that, I'll say, if you happen to live in an area of the country that's much colder in the morning, I get it. It can be really tough in the winter to get up out of bed when you're all snuggly and cozy in. But the benefits of getting up and getting it done, you can use that time before work, and then I guarantee that when you're at work, you're going to feel like you've already accomplished so much, and it's going to set you up for a better work day.
Yeah, absolutely. I think accomplish was a huge word there. I think that morning time feeds so much into the brain for accomplishment. Even if you just got up and literally it was like a walk, even if it wasn't some crazy thing, like you doing something between that hours of 4 and 7 a.m. while everyone else was sleeping just fires up part of the brain that senses accomplishment, which is more or less dopamine, right?
Right.
So,
and then like
go on that last one.
The last one is finding a group of friends or a friend that you can do your workouts with.
Yeah, like you touched on this one too.
We've talked about this in previous episodes where being with a group of people, it really does push you through those harder times. So, we talked about in the past how being in a group setting, like a group class, like CrossFit, how the accountability of being with your friends. And if you don't show up and you're usually at that 9 o'clock class, you're going to hear from people from that class, either on like social media or someone's going to reach out to you via text, because you become part of their group. And it becomes something that kind of pushes you. I don't want to go work out, but man, I want to see all my friends. And then you go.
Yeah.
And that's like one of the most beautiful things about CrossFit is like being with all your buddies, and you do create these relationships that sometimes you're really just there for that relationship building, but you get the workout in, secondary. Other people will go with the mindset, I'm going for my workout, and the bonus is that I get to see my friends. Whatever gets you there, get you there. But I would say if you are in a situation where you are trying to find someone to work out with, I guarantee there's someone on your street, somebody else that you could probably ask, like, hey, I'm trying to start working out. Do you want to get up with me 30 minutes earlier than we normally do and go for a walk in the morning? Or like do some workout movements at home with what we got. I really feel like you would be surprised how many people would take you up on that.
Yeah, absolutely. And that solves a little bit of time. Like, hey, I want to work out, but I don't want to sacrifice hanging out with my friends. Like, that's important to me. I still want to be able to hang out with my friends, or I don't want to sacrifice family time. Okay,
Right.
let's combine those two then. So you're not making new time. You're just using some of that time that you're already spending with loved ones, friends, or family, and you're using it for your fitness or your health. And they're going to be happier for that, and you're going to be happier for that. And that doesn't mean that like all the time, like every time that I hang out with my significant other, we got to be doing some sort of fitness or some sort of exercise. But if it's like, hey, it's been like 4 weeks because it's been really busy at work, and usually we have a date night, it would mean a lot to me if our date night could be a night at the gym together. Or can we go on a walk tonight and talk instead of doing pizza and a movie? Like, yeah, friends are going to love that. Spouse are going to love that. Like, it means a lot when somebody can help you push yourself to be the best version of yourself.
All right, if you guys are like me, you carry a lot of shit to the gym. I like to take my rope. I like an extra pair of socks to change into after I work out. I like to have a snack because that's super important. Toiletry bag. Man, there's just so much in my bag. And for a long time, I really struggled with keeping all of that separated or trying to find something easily. Not anymore, because the best boss in the world, Kolby, bought me a Haven athletic bag. And let me tell you about this bag. It has lots of different compartments, even a little ventilated area at the bottom where you can either put your stinky shoes or maybe sweaty clothes. And it's great to not have those mixed in with all of your other stuff. We are able to give you guys $40 off your purchase. If you go to the show notes, there's a link. Haven Athletic. Purchase your bag today. All right. And speaking of pizza and food, the next question is, yeah, you didn't know where I was going with that, did you?
I didn't at first.
I don't know what to eat. So when people say, hey, I don't know what I'm supposed to be eating, and this is causing me problems, it's causing me setbacks, what are some options that we can give out?
Yeah. Sort of like the question with I don't know what to do. There's so much free stuff online. Some of the hard parts about stuff with nutrition is there's so many different opinions on nutrition, and that I feel a little bit differently about exercise. Like, any kind of exercise is going to be good exercise. I don't necessarily agree that every kind of diet is a good diet. So I'm not saying go look for like the free content on the fad diet online. But what you could do is find some content that's going to be valuable for you. And like, I'll break it down into Michael Pollan makes a really good, easy way to think about food is eat real food, not processed food, not too much, and mostly plants. So with that mindset, okay, let's look for some grocery lists and food prep. So like, I want to go find, like, Google search a food prep. Like what groceries do I need and what food can it make? Finding a free content for learning about macronutrients and micronutrients, finding free content for, how much protein should I be eating for how much exercise I'm doing, or a lot of content you're going to be able to find for free. And I'm more than happy to give you all the ones that we have. We've got tons of PDFs kind of about sugar. We've got PDFs about cooking pan protein meals, about grocery lists, about macronutrients. So if you send us a DM, I'm more than happy to send something to you. Free stuff. You just got to make sure that you know where it's coming from. Versus something that's maybe a cheaper version. If you pay for a PDF or pay for an ebook, make sure it's coming from a reputable source. But on top of free stuff on the internet, as far as like content goes, what are some other things that people can do?
Yeah, so we can do like a tracking app, and there's a couple of versions like MyFitnessPal or RP Strength that has a free version. So you can track, and the benefits of tracking is like a lot of times we think what we're eating is healthy or that we don't eat that much sugar or that much fat. And when you actually write it down, you go, oh shit, I eat so much sugar, or I eat way more of this, or I only thought I was drinking one soda every couple days, but I drink 3 Cokes a day. We get into these patterns of what becomes normal for us. And until we actually see it written down, and that's why trainers will always say, write down what you're eating. I need to know. And it is a slap in the face many times for you to then look, even us as professional, coaches will sometimes don't realize that we've kind of fallen into this habit of eating things that we shouldn't. So tracking's great. So checking out those apps using the free service first. There's more benefits to the paid versions because you can share your information with a coach. Like on MyFitnessPal, the free version doesn't allow you to share, I think, with your coach, but then you can open it up so people can see and track what you're doing and look and see. But you have to kind of know like where you want your macros to be. You need to know what a macronutrient is, what the protein, the fats, and the carbs are. And from there, you can kind of look and see. And I mean, it's basically like what you were saying earlier. If you're looking on a package of food and you can't read all the ingredients or you don't know what they are, you can't say them, they're not good for you. You shouldn't be eating them.
Yeah. I need to look up and see who says it, but there's a saying, you don't know what you don't know. You ever heard of that saying before?
Mm-mm. I don't
you don't
know a lot.
What you don't know. I mean, that's the realization is like, man, I don't actually know what I don't know until I start like investigating. And then I'm like, wow,
Right.
I actually don't know a lot of stuff.
Right.
And so I think that's a really, really helpful point. Like, I don't know what to eat. Well, if you started knowing what you do eat,
Yep.
that is probably going to help you guide you to what
Right.
you should eat because you
And
don't know what you don't know.
in the long run, starting eating a more healthier food choice is really about eliminating some things that you shouldn't be eating. Start there. It doesn't have to be like from 0 to 100. Start taking
Yeah.
out some of those things that we know for sure are not good for you. Maybe, stop eating donuts every day. When you get to the office, there's donuts there. Maybe just do it once a week, and slowly like taper off. We're not saying you can't have that because we eat that, but there comes a point where you need to recognize what is too much and, kind of start from there. And then it will open up a more educated mindset.
Cool. Awesome. I think the most high value version of that, if I don't know what to eat and I don't really care to find out, is get a meal delivery service.
Have someone
right?
have someone do it for you and just eat what they tell you.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's being we know what you should. Don't know what to eat and have a lot of money at your disposal, hire a chef. It's a great option.
Yeah. Great.
Cool. The last little piece here, I know we're a little bit long on today's episode, is kind of talking about we talked about like peeling back layers of barriers for us. And a lot of these barriers kind of start with like our circumstances, right? I don't know if I've got enough money. I don't know if enough time, and I don't know what to do. So my circumstances are kind of like, keeping me from doing something.
Sure.
Then potentially it's moving into, other people. I'm not giving myself the authority to make choices for myself of like, hey, I need to spend time with my spouse, or I need to spend time with my friends. I need to ask this person before doing this, or, I'm not necessarily giving myself the permission. I have to go find somebody else's permission before doing it. And then we have like this, what it really comes down to is ourself. Like, and the biggest piece is knowing why we do something. And if we know why we do something, we can make choices around our why, or like, hey, I want to do this thing, or I want to be this kind of person. And so I have to think, what does this person do? And now I'm going to go do those things. And doing those things is irrelevant of my circumstances, and it's irrelevant of the other people around me. I'm still going to do those things because that's who I am. And the things that I can control are the things that I can control. I can't control my circumstances. I can't control what other people say, but I can control myself. I want to read a really good Instagram post about permission versus support as well. But before I did find that post about the walking. So walking 20 minutes daily decreases risk for heart disease, which is the number one killer in the US and in Europe. One person dies every 36 seconds from heart disease. The amygdala acts as a threat detection center in your brain. It's a part in your brain. Walking decreases the activity in the amygdala, which means reduces stress and anxiety. Falls are the number one cause of injury-related death among the elderly. And walking preserves muscle mass and bone density and reduces fall risk. Wow, huge. Walking 60 minutes 3 times a week reduces risk of developing dementia and can improve cognitive ability in elderly. That's something that we talked about in a previous episode. So the hype is real with walking. This came from Active Life. Active Life definitely helps people reclaim their active lifestyles post, maybe injuries or getting out of exercise for a long period of time. So quickly, I wrote on this on my Instagram. I'd love to have you guys follow me on Instagram. I try to get out good content a couple of times a week. And here's what I said. I want to address a subtle yet powerful trap many of us fall into on our journey of self-improvement. The difference between asking for permission from somebody and asking for support from somebody. Understanding this distinction can redefine our path. And I want everybody to step into 2024 as their most powerful selves. So, permission trap. Without realizing it, we often seek permission from for our actions and decisions. This might seem like a safety net. Like, what if things don't work out? It's not entirely our fault, right? No, not exactly. When we ask for permission, we're handing over our power and control. We're operating from a place of fear, and particularly fear of failure. More or less, like I'm giving somebody else the blame for when I think I will not follow through on something. Permission versus control. Asking permission implicitly means we're waiting for someone else's approval to validate our actions. This not only diminishes our self-agency, but also places the outcome and the responsibility for it in somebody else's hands, right? So that's taking away power from yourself, and I'm asking somebody else to make those decisions for me. So let's flip this a little bit and talk about the power of seeking support. When we ask for support, we're acknowledging our own responsibility in the process. We're saying, hey, I'm choosing this path and I'm accountable for it, but I'm welcoming your assistance while I'm doing it. Like, I want your help. I'm going to do this. I accept responsibility, but I would love your help. And then we the next step into embracing that self-responsibility, and seeking support rather than permission pivots self-responsibility. It's about us owning our own decisions, our actions, and ultimately our failures. It's acknowledging that while the journey might be challenging, we're the one that's driving the car, right? This change in mindset is crucial. It's about moving from a place of dependency to a place of empowerment. Yeah, of course it's scarier. Of course it means embracing vulnerability, but it's also where real meaningful change happens. So we talk about ourself, like the change happens with ourself. I wanted to share that with you. If you guys want to follow me on Instagram, I'd love to share more of that kind of stuff on Instagram as well.
What's your handle?
At Kolby Christo. And maybe we'll put it in the show notes for you. So yeah, I know you got one more thing you want to share as well when it comes to barriers for people.
Well, I think that being able to, as mentioned before, track what you're doing kind of can create not only a history of what you're doing so you can guide yourself accordingly. You need that information, folks. So if you're not tracking what you're doing, then you're missing out on a huge benefit of moving forward and taking the guessing work out of what you should be doing as far as weights that you've done in the past. But also it's a motivational piece. So for me personally, I love having a fitness journal. You can use an empty notebook just to write down. But for a lot of folks, they need prompting, especially if it's someone who's newer moving into this realm and they don't know exactly what to write down. So there's a couple of fitness journals that I found. I actually found a new one for 2024 yesterday when I was at Rite Aid. Just going into like the book section, it says something motivational on the front, but if you open it up, what's cool about it is it just asks you for very specific things every day. And there's many different versions of these. You can find these at like a Staples or an Office Depot as well. And they have like questions anywhere from like the date to what exercises are you doing that day to giving you motivational cues, asking you like your performance rating. How do you feel like what percentage you were at today? A section for you to write down your food choices, things that you are wanting to get out of today's workout, things that you want to accomplish throughout the day in general. And it's basically just a guidebook on getting all that information in your mind to think about for the rest of the day. Because when I'm done with my workouts, I may be done physically, but mentally I'm still like thinking about things that I did. And I also think about how that can improve my life in general. And then I take all those good feelings, those endorphins, and I take them with me the rest of the day if I'm working out in the morning. But above anything else, it allows you to go back and look. And on those days where I feel like shit, like I'm not doing a good job and I'm not accomplishing anything, I can go back and look at what I've written and what I've done in the past. And there's proof right there like, oh, I actually did go up 5 pounds. Or actually that day I was only able to do this much. I did the same amount or I did more. And there's in many of those little journals, there's even places for you to just put how you felt that day. Today, I felt good about my workout because, and for you to be able to go back and look at that kind of stuff, even on the days that you're writing less positive things like today, I don't feel like I did very good because of this. You'll be able to go back and learn from those experiences. And it does help to go back and just randomly, I'll go back and read a couple of my previous posts just because I feel like it really does help put things in perspective on where I was. And we're never like, as humans, we're never happy with what we're doing or what we have. We always want more, right? So this allows us to go back. It's like, I do have more. I have gotten better, or I am on track, or just being able to reference what I've done in the past makes a huge difference. So I'm an advocate. So one of the, I think, most special gifts you can give somebody that you know is wanting to get in to a better fitness routine is get them one of these books for like a special day. Like, it doesn't have to be a birthday or Christmas. It can be like, hey, I know that you are wanting to dive into this more and you're serious about it. Take this and use this, and it will really help motivate them. And they're like 14, $15 up to $25 that I've seen.
Sick. Yeah, I think wins, man. You kind of like hit it on the head. Like, we want wins, we want wins, we want wins. And that's a really, really awesome opportunity for lots of wins.
Yes. We like to win. Hey, we're going to finish with a game. So we are trying to find more fun ways that we can end the podcast. So today we're going to do like a 60-second challenge. I'm going to ask Kolby a series of questions. They're basically related to fitness or sports terms. So when I say my reference, he's going to try to answer and get all of them or as many of the 5 questions in a minute that he can.
Okay.
And let's see. Yes. This will kind of like show you our base of multi-sports or fitness. Okay. I'm going to go first and ask you questions, Kolby.
You want me
Are
to
you
start
ready?
a timer? Yeah. 3.
I have a timer.
All right.
All right, ready? And pick and roll. Pick and roll.
Football.
Boo,
Football.
no. Next
Oh.
is red card.
Soccer.
Yes. Double fault.
Tennis. I think we talked about that one.
All right. You're out of bounds.
Can that be a lot of things? I'm thinking
It could
maybe
be.
basketball.
Name one.
Basketball?
Yeah, that's good.
All right.
Line drive.
Baseball?
There you go. Ding, ding, ding. Yeah,
All
20 seconds
right.
to spare.
Nice.
All right, you did get one wrong, so we're going to ask you one more time. Pick and roll.
Pick and roll. Basketball.
There you go. He got it. All right, ladies and gentlemen.
Pick and roll.
Pick and roll.
Okay.
All right. Very good.
Are you
got
ready?
all of them. Yeah,
Mine are going to be way harder.
All right.
All right. Timer. 3, 2, 1. Tea time.
Tea time, that's golf.
Okay. PK.
PK?
Yeah.
Pass.
What?
I don't know what that is. Pass
Okay.
to the next question.
Man down or man down play.
That's going to be something to do with water. Water polo?
Yeah. Yes, it is. I'm
Okay.
surprised. Belay on.
That's going to be rappelling or rock climbing.
Yeah. Okay. Eagle.
That is golf.
Wait, that might not even be a right term. I don't know. Is that a thing? Maybe it's not.
Yeah, it is.
Okay. Kook.
Sailing.
No, not wrong. And that's 1 minute.
Okay.
Okay. I'll give you one more opportunity for kook.
Curling?
No.
What is it?
Surfing.
Surfing. Oh, I knew you were going to ask me a surfing question. What was the other one I got wrong?
The PK. Penalty kick.
Oh, that's soccer.
Yes.
Football.
Yes.
I never heard it
football.
referred to as a PK. Hey, we did pretty good. We know some stuff. You were surprised that I knew some things.
I was, yeah. I'm impressed you knew man down. That was impressive.
Hey, I knew that you were going to be more water-based based on your surfing and sailing background. So I was kind of
thinking hard.
Yeah.
All right.
Awesome.
Fun.
Well, this is our podcast for the week. We hope you enjoyed the information that we talked about. Again, if there's ever a specific piece of topic that you want us to cover, we're happy to hear your thoughts. We always want to hear feedback. So please continue to subscribe if you haven't already.
We'll put some of the content that we talked about in our show notes. If you want some of the free content that we were giving as well from Oxnard Movement, we'll leave an email in the description. Get a hold of us, and we'll be happy to give you some of that information. Otherwise, everything will be in the show notes. Rate us, share us, like us, subscribe, all the things. Do it.
Yes. All right. We will see you next week. Have a great week.
Peace. Here we go.
Emmanuel, that was so good. Go again.
3, 2, 1. Time.